Hey everybody, welcome to the Art of Comics. I'm your host, Andre Salazar. And for those long-time subscribers, you might notice the background's a little different. Well, that's because I'm usually shooting it over there on that side of the studio, which is like my comics and all that stuff. And today, I wanted to change it up. Let's change it up a little bit. So now we're shooting on this wall. You can see my RC trucks and cars. You see some Gundams, some paintings. Over there is my little painting I did in acrylics of Batman stuff. Up here, I got all my bound comic books, which I need to go through those and share with you guys all my bound books. I got tons of books I did, professional binding. So anyway, just change it up a little bit because I'm crazy like that. First and foremost, I want to say I hope you're all doing wonderful, being safe with your families during this COVID-19 outbreak and pandemic, okay? This is not a drill. This is not a hoax. This is the real deal. So listen to your government officials. Be obedient. Be good boys and girls. And just freaking try to keep yourself together and be safe, okay? That's number one. And despite all that turmoil of employment and health and the world in general and markets and everything, finances, let's just take a little bit of moment and talk about some cool nerdy stuff. And I thank you for spending time with me tonight. So it's about 10:30 or so p.m. Everyone's kind of quieted down all through the house. Nothing is stirring, not a mouse or something like that. And today we're going to talk about Miracleman, formerly known as Marvel Man. I read some of these issues long ago when it was Eclipse back in the day. But I hadn't read it since the early 90s maybe. So I read this. We're going to talk about it. A couple things. It's good, of course. This was written and done part of Warrior, again, UK comic, anthology. These were little snippets. Alan Moore, he doesn't have his name. He doesn't put his name in this. This is because Marvel bought the rights. It's a whole issue. It just says the original author, with the original writer, okay? Because he don't want nothing to do with it. He's a man of principle, okay? And I'm not going to spend an hour talking about all that. There are some great videos about the history of this. It's still ongoing. Originally, Marvel Man was a comic back in 1956. The original author was Mick Anglo. Created this character in 1956. So this character's been around. This character's Shazam, kind of, Captain Marvel. That was the whole thing. Captain Marvel, there's Marvel Man. And this is very Captain Marvel-y, right? So if you're familiar with that world, you're going to see a lot of that similarities. Went through a lot of different rights issues. Then, of course, got revamped 1981-82 by Alan Moore in Warrior, okay? Warrior, the anthology in England, so much like 2000 AD, something like that you can think of. And he had a number of writers and artists that worked with him. Gary Leach was one of them, Alan Davis. There's the conflict with Alan Davis, the rights issue. There's a great video on YouTube that goes into that, specifically the Alan Davis element, right? And it has to do with page and money and all that, rights and that kind of stuff. Reprinting, all that kind of deal. Alan Moore did a stint. He, a lot of Total Bean, Veach, all those Swamp Thing guys worked on this as well. So if you like that kind of art, it's in here and it's amazing. And so after Alan Moore, Neil Gaiman comes in the fray, and Todd McFarlane buys it, Marvel buys. So there's all these different issues. We're not going to go into it. It's too damn myriad, and the story is not over. It's still going through legal battles. But it's a pretty infamous case. It's pretty lengthy. It was a big deal when Marvel got the rights to this and reprinted it. That was a big deal. I was at Comic-Con San Diego years ago when they were touting. There was big signs everywhere that freaking Miracleman's with Marvel. I don't know why they didn't just call it Marvel Man. Go back to the original name, Marvel Man, since it was by Marvel Comics. Don't know why. There was a reason, some reason, but so Marvel has the rights currently. They reprinted them in these nice hardcovers. I don't think they ever went to soft. And they just created it. And these are $30. You could buy these pretty cheap now, but $30 for 4 issues, kind of stiff, kind of steep there, brother. So that's what Marvel's doing, and I bet they sold out a crud of these because everyone was hot on more, and they knew that more wasn't gonna be writing for freaking Marvel anytime soon. So let's get that and let's freaking print it and make money, and that's what they did. There is a artist edition of some of this stuff, and I do want to get it because it looks great. Because a lot of cool textures and ideas that they're using. So let's dive into Miracleman Volume 1. We're just doing Volume 1 now. We'll do more later. And let's do it, okay? Let's do it. Let's dive down. Okay, everybody. Welcome to the show. Let me know. Please tell me in the comments if it's too dark. Because I'm changing my light setup. And so I want to know it's too dark. If it's too dark, comment. Tell me it's too dark. If it's not too dark, don't say anything or say, yeah, it's perfect. Actually, say if it's perfect. I need to know that because I want you guys to see it, and especially because this freaking glossy paper, the lights above in my ceiling, which I cannot do anything about unless I put a big shroud here. Just sometimes the gloss just like kills me. So we're gonna just do our best. But hopefully it will be sufficient. Okay. Miracleman, Book 1, Dream of Flying. As I mentioned, it's just $30. Nice little hardcover. There's some nice little extras to kind of wet your whistle, but still feels a little bit overpriced. Okay. I love this. I did not know. I think I do remember hearing that Alan Moore struck his name from all records from the annals of history that he wrote this just as a FU to Marvel and the companies who kind of screwed him over or bought the rights. And it's like, he's like, screw that. So I love that it's the original writer. I don't know. Just I would love to just get a signature of his that just says that. I think that's brilliant. We're going to see some really great art by all these guys. Gary Leach, Alan Davis, Don Lawrence, Steve Dillon, and Paul Neary. I'm not going to be able to necessarily pull all those guys out of who did what on which page, but let's just collectively say it's pretty badass, and let's just go from there, okay? Again, this has been reprinted by Marvel. It was printed originally in '82 by Eclipse, and I have those, but not right offhand. But I'll try to dig those up and kind of show you guys some of those. It starts off with the prologue, and this is a really great, like, kind of retro look at the Miracleman family. Again, we're going to see a lot of, like, Shazam, Captain Marvel type of similarities. You've got Marvel Man, or I'm going to go to the name it's using, Miracleman. You get Miracleman, Young Miracleman, and Kid Miracleman. And they're talking about these aliens they're going through, and it's got a really cool retro vibe. The art is really neat, kind of fun. The story, you know, the dialogue is kind of fun. It's got that kind of old school 50s comics and PAL zaps and that kind of a deal. You know, holy macaroni, he says that kind of stuff. It's cute, it's fun, but it's actually not like infantile. I mean, there's some actually really nice rendering and nice positioning and stuff like that. And I really also like these kind of neat little moments here. The lettering is fun. So it's got that older vibe to it, but it's really well done. I really like the smoke clouds and things like that. So good stuff. Gets us going for the first like 8 or so pages. And then, and we're just setting up the characters, right? Setting up the family, this trio, these aliens that kind of came to try to take over Earth. They beat them down, and now we're slowly going now into reality. And this is clearly reality because modern comics, this is the way modern comics are. They just didn't do these kind of close-ups back then. So now it's like, okay, we're now in reality. And we start with this, we're now in 1982, so this is like real time as they're creating it. And we had this dialogue from these two like guards that are transporting some material from this military base, and we don't really understand what it is yet, but we're going to figure that out in a little bit. We go into these dreams that Miracleman's having, or someone's having of Miracleman, and it's related to this event in 1963. So Miracleman and his little posse of the family was in 1950. Was it 1954 or 56? What did I say? 56. So from 1956 to 1963, everything was hunky dory. They were a family working together for these 7-8 years, and then something happened in 1963, and we were going to learn what that is in a moment. So we don't really know, but some calamitous event happened in some kind of a space station, and then he wakes up. This guy wakes up, and Mike Maron is the kind of our main protagonist. We're not gonna. I'll tell you right now, he's gonna turn into Miracleman, but he's the vessel of Miracleman. Wakes up, has these nightmares basically of this former life, and he goes to work. He's a reporter for the Daily Bugle. This is a kind of alt history world where we have something similar to really what happened, but then some kind of differences. And there's a terrorist group. They are in front of this nuclear plant. Reporters are there. He gets beat down by these terrorists, and the name of Kimoda comes into his mind, and that is the magical word. Kind of like when Marvel had Shazam, that word kind of like triggered him. Kimona triggered Marvelman, and Kimoda is atomic backwards. Okay, so when he says atomic or Kimoda, it goes backwards. Now I don't know the relationship of this character with Captain Atom, because that's another nuclear character that was a while back. I think Captain Atom was was after this stuff, but I'd have to check. But here nor there, this character is somehow connected to nuclear power, the power of the atom, that kind of a deal. And so he says that word. It comes to him. He's been this word has been bugging him, and he says it. After 20 some odd years, he now says the word, 19 years, he says Kimoda, and it triggers him, Shazam-like style. He now is 20 years younger, 19 years younger. He's like perfect. He's sparkling with energy and exudes the best of mankind and sexuality and all that stuff. And he's like, okay, we're going to take you, tear us out. So he just kind of like goes into, classic hero mode. And he feels like, it's been 18 years since he's been this person, and he's like unlocked his power, unlocked his potential. I'm Miracleman, and I'm back, right? It's the beginning. Before, he was this older man. He was married but unhappy. He had these horrible nightmares. He was in this rut, and now he can release his power. He can become his alter ego that's been laying dormant in his subconscious for so long, right? Beautiful art, by the way. Beautiful art. So this story is deconstructing again kind of the Marvel, Captain Marvel family, deconstructing heroes. That's kind of Alan Moore's MO for a lot of his stories. Not all of them, but a lot. The most famous, of course, would be Watchmen. But in here, he's doing it here. So kind of interesting. He goes back. Now, first thing he's going to do is go talk to his wife. Well, his wife sees this young guy that looks similar to his husband, but this is not Mike. This isn't Mike Morin. So what the heck's going on? There's some, nervous, scared. Who's this guy going to rape me? Whatever. We figure it out. She's like, oh, you are Mike. You're my husband. And he makes her coffee. He gives her the story. Again, we get this banter of this is unbelievable. This sounds like a comic book. How can this be real? But he's real. He tells a story of finding the wizard to give him the power. I mean, just like Shazam, giving the power to say the magic word to defeat evil. He goes through kind of a history of when he was Marvel Man, what he did, and how there was this doctor, I won't say Gargonzola, but it was Dr. Gargunza. Dr. Gargunza is his arch enemy, kind of like Captain Marvel's doctor, whoever, I can't remember who. She's incredulous on parts, but again, this is my husband, so it must be real. I just don't know what parts, whatever. Then he starts starting to uncover a little bit about what happened in 1963. We go back to those events, and we see that there was a bomb there, that somehow somebody set a trap for him and his family, the two buddies, and they exploded, and somehow that ended their lives that he knows, and he then became just Mike. He's traumatized, trying to figure this all out. Meanwhile, on the TV, the news reports of the hero that that defeated the terrorists at the site is all over the news, and this guy is like, great, Miracleman, he's back to spoil everything. Smashes his desk. Who's this guy? He knows him from back in the day. His wife wakes up, trying to figure out if this is real or not. He gets a phone call from the fella from last night who smashed his desk, this guy, and decides to meet him. And he's like, oh my gosh, this is Kid Miracleman. Kid Miracleman has been alive the whole time. Johnny's been alive this whole time. What's going on? So he goes to meet him. Well, Johnny, during those 18 years, he's been aware of who he is. He didn't die, and he's now the president of Sunburst Cybernetics. Sunburst Cybernetics, global company, super powerful. Think kind of Osmondius type of business deal going. This big old, that's the symbol. So Mike and his wife Liz go to see Johnny, right? Who's now this, again, very Captain Atom looking guy. They hug. They can't believe it. He tells his side of the story. In 1963, he goes in. There's that space station. They were going to go to defeat Gargonzola, Dr. Gargonzola, and it was a bomb. And he flies out, and he gets out there as fast as he can, and he comes back to Earth. He's powerless. He has no powers, and he's been living the rest of his life now, and using his brains, created this company, and he becomes this powerful dude. So that's like what he's telling them. Sounds great. How wonderful to see you. But Mike's like, you know what, John? Something's not right. John, I listened to your story just now. Rags to riches, redemption through, honest work. It's a great story. I really wanted to believe it, John. But then halfway through, I got this funny idea in my head. I thought, what if he's lying? What if he tried to get rid of it, but he couldn't, I thought, and so he goes into this like, I just have a spidey sense that you're not telling the truth, and that what were to happen if you stayed Kid Miracleman for 18 years? You would be the only person with this power. You would never want to relinquish it, and you could do whatever you wanted to do. You'd be completely unstoppable. And inside, I feel that. I feel that that's what happened, right? And so now Johnny, former Kid Miracleman's like, we get the sense that he's putting the whammy on him. And somehow Mike is like, can't concentrate. He feels, but then the wife distracts, and then Mike pushes him over the ledge. He's going to test his theory out right freaking now. He knows it. And he pushes Kid Miracleman over the ledge to his plummeting to his death, and look what happens. Oh, shnikes. He's right. This guy is not who he said he was. he still is Kid Miracleman. He never became the kid again. He stayed the superhero the whole time. Bum, bum, bum. Oh, shit. So, you know, he has, there's this cool little, like, the dragon, right? There was 3 people that went into the cave, and then the little kid became the dragon being the bad guy, the serpent, the evil devil, a biblical character. And that's who Johnny is. Johnny Kid Miracleman is the bad guy. And he kills the secretary. And the great art, the amazing art in this book, you can see the really cool stipples. There's a lot of textures in here. And it's very subtle, using a lot of different tools. A lot of screen tones in here, which I really dig. The art is realistic. It's not as loose and wild. It's very kind of tight and clean, but a lot of fun texture. Really, really dig the art. It's got a cool style to it. So he kills his secretary, and he's like, I'm going to kill you, I'm going to kill your wife, and that's how we're going, because I didn't want to have you know, but now that you know, you guys are dead. Well, guess what? He ain't playing this, and he says, oh yeah? Kimoda biscuit. Chicken, wow, smash through the freaking building. He comes down. Great art, by the way. Blasting each other, you know, half his face is jacked, and they're just gonna start going after it. The bad guy grabs a kid, flings the kid off. He's gonna make him fly. You know, Miracleman goes in, great angle, saves the kid, but broke the kid's ribs in doing so. The mom's like, "You're a monster." You know, classic element of hero has to save the bystanders. Villain's gonna capitalize on that and bust his chops. So he's getting his butt beat. This is a great panel, by the way. I love the texture in this. This is just a really cool, you know, the energy's crackling around him. Check out, you know, blasts him to oblivion. They're battling out. Here's the deal. Miracleman's only been a hero. He was only a hero for like 9 years, and that was 20 years ago. This guy has had his powers this whole dang time. So for 30 years, he's been, you know, having powers, so he knows how to use them. He's honed them. He's magnified them. He's gonna mop the floor with Miracleman. Beautiful destruction here too, and I love the lettering too. Very cool lettering. So he's just destroying everything. He's gonna kick some ass. Beats down Miracleman that we know. And then, by the way, these are like short stories, right? So they're not full 24 pages. They were like, you know, 8 and 10 pages in Warriors. So we're getting these little like clips. So this is like a new now story, another issue, like issue 6 would be this then. Now Miracleman is after the wife, Liz. So he goes after Liz. Liz is jamming in the car. She's like getting out of Dodge. He comes after her. You know, Johnny's destroying this, you know, gonna bust her on the chops. Guess what? Miracleman ain't dead. Miracleman's coming back. Bum ba bum. Ba-dow, leave her alone. This is a great little like classic pose. Just bow. They battle some more. Bow bow bow. And then, you know, as he's breaking him down and he's like basically just taking out Miracleman. And he says the stupidest thing. He just forgot, dude. He just is like, I did it. I beat him. I destroyed him. You know, and now I'm going to finish him forever. You know, me, Kid Miracleman. Oh, no. See, in the stories, if you say the name, if he says his name, Kid Miracleman, it changes him back to human. Well, guess what? That hasn't happened in 19 years. So he suddenly changes back. He was in the caught in the moment, changes back, boom, he's now the kid. Miracleman's like, this is my chance. I got to kill him right now. I got to kill him before he turns back. All he has to say is Miracleman, and then he'll go back into, you know, the full power mode. And he can't do it. He's like, don't hit me. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. I didn't do it. I couldn't stop him. It wasn't me. Not me, you know. And so he's this kid again. He's like a 13-year-old kid. And he doesn't do it. He doesn't kill the kid. They take off. The authorities grab this boy who's now like jacked up. We got this killer guy. There's this team called the Spookville or Spook Train, some crap like that. They hire this killer guy with the blue sapphire teeth to go find Mike Moran, who is Miracleman. So he goes track them down. Meanwhile, Mike and Liz are out in the countryside. By the way, this is all taking place in the UK, in England. So they go out in the countryside. He's practicing drills, his power levels, trying to figure out how to use his powers, right? It's kind of a classic kind of story. We see that a lot now. It's like, I got powers. How do I use them? Now we're going back to the kind of insane asylum hospital. The doctors are talking. He's kind of non-responsive, and we see in his mind the conflict that there is this other like being or entity or ego, another id that is, you know, battling with him, the one that is the evil one, the one that's been in control for so long, and they're kind of fighting amongst themselves. You know he's coming back. You know this is happening, right? I mean, that's happening. More training, trying to figure out how the powers work. Is it a force field? Is it super strength? What is it? Meanwhile, the Sapphire Man, which his name is Mr. Cream. Mr. Cream is looking at the survivor of that terrorist attack, because there's a survivor that saw who turned into the atomic guy who saved the day. Well, he goes in there, he finds him, he finds out what he looked like. You know, he knows, okay, it must have been Mike Moran. It must have been him. So, of course, he decides, you know, once he gets the information, I'm lying, I'm going to kill you, dude. So he kills him. So we know he's a bad mofo, and he don't play around. And the government, or the shadowy cadre of evil dudes, are not playing. Meanwhile, Miracleman is living out his fantasies back, you know, with full power. This is a beautiful show. These are all beautiful, beautiful pages. And there's great conflict, and Alan Moore does a great job here of, like, you know, the jealousy that Mike has for Miracleman. It's kind of classic, where Miracleman is younger, prettier, better, and everything. Mike is older and everything, and feels that insecurity because the relationship he has with his wife, with his other person now, it's like a weird love triangle in some ways. And so, does Mike really love her? I mean, does she love Mike, or does she love Miracleman? By the way, she's pregnant with Miracleman's baby, and he could never impregnate her. So there's, of course, a lot of resentment there too. So there's resentment. It's actually really down to earth, feels real. So that's always good. He's now back on the job. He's going to look at the next case. And what happens? Mr. Cream bushwhacks him, takes him out. We're led to believe that he gets shot by Mr. Cream, but he doesn't. He's going to get captured. And he says, look, I was hired as an agent by these guys, the Spookville guys, but I'm not going to work for them. I'm betraying them, and I'm going to tell you what's up. These guys are coming after you. They want to destroy you. You are a creation of this government, and I'm going to show you the truth. So Cream takes him to his bunker, which has all this information about everything and what is in it. And he shows him what's going to happen. Well, right outside the bunker is Big Ben. Big Ben is this other kind of government creation. This is the government trying to recreate Miracleman, but they fail. Or rather, they're not as successful. He's a little bit of a doofus. He doesn't have the fortitude, the mental capacity to handle these experiments in his psyche, to give him these powers and such. And so he's a bit of a doofus. Miracleman wipes the floor with him, but there's some sadness to it too. I mean, you know, he's just a creation, you know, these experiments gone awry, and so that's kind of sad. They go in the bunker. The bunker has it's like the Batcave. It's got all the evidence of Miracleman. He goes through these tapes. He learns his history, and he just goes crazy. He just, after finding the truth of his origin, of what happened, he loses it. Great pose. Just some great stuff. And now more kind of like breaks down what's going on here. Different governments were trying to do this Superman kind of a deal. They use this subliminal or hypnotic word to unlock this potential. They create this system where there's a body in this other kind of dimension, and they swap bodies. The personas or the psyches swap, and so he now has the power of Miracleman. In our world, we see that he's more powerful than atomic power and the bombs and all that stuff, and so it's kind of an arms race kind of a deal. The Cold War, U.S. government created him. He is a creation of the government. That's the reveal. He wasn't a superhero. The superhero stuff, all that is just a layer of veneer, a cover that they put in him. But he's not a superhero. He didn't find some god, statue wizard in some cave and got the power of Kimoda. He was created. That is why he loses it. And he was created by this guy, Dr. Gargunza. And Dr. Gargunza is the creator of him. And that's like, no. It's a great panel, too, because you see the psychosis, the delusion that Big Ben has compared to reality. So you see, like, he's thinking these people are the superhero friends of his. And this is just a great, like, parallel of reality not. And the epilogue, this is the package. Big Ben is the package that those two guards were carrying out of the military bunker back here in the beginning. So I thought that was kind of fun, too. So now he knows the truth. We now are seeing some kind of a cleanup crew go into the bunker or what's left of the bunker and kind of just, clean it up, figure out what's going on with all that. And then that's it. That's kind of basically the first 4 issues. Now we got a side story, Yesterday Gambit. And this is this character called... one second. What is this guy called again? Warpsmith. Warpsmith is this alien that can bend time and take him. He's going to go to 2 time periods. He's going to go to that moment right before they found the space station in 1963, take out the family so that they don't go to the space station, die. He does that. They're going to forget about it. They're not going to remember it. They're just not going to go there. And then he's going to go and take out himself in 1982 when he goes with his like heroic off to space to kind of be like, I'm back. He takes him out there. So he's trying to stop this moment of this happening. And then that's kind of like where that ends. It's kind of a weird story because now we're going into this other story with these Warpsmiths, and there's a race of them. This is where it gets a little fuzzy because they're using this kind of garbled, made up kind of dialect, almost similar to like a Clockwork Orange deal. And there's these youngsters from another race that are coming in. They thought they were maybe some kind of terrorists. They weren't terrorists. They were just young kids. Or were they? Was that like another level? So there's these like tribunal leaders that are going to punish the Warpsmiths because of the deaths of the youngsters, which would cause more of a conflict and war. The art is great. It's a little out there, and I'm not sure the connection quite yet, but I'm assuming it's going to be connected to Miracleman. Then there's some cool, like behind the scenes, some original pages you see some of the art and all that kind of jazz. I like this. I'm not over the moon quite yet. I know that it gets really good, and I'm excited to do volume 2, but this is a good setup. We know what's going on. We know the Kid Miracleman, dude. He's coming back. We're setting everything up. And I think this is going to like pay off big time. So we're really excited about that. Hey, guys, do you know I started a podcast? That's right. If you want to hear what I think about other stuff besides comics, and maybe just comics, check it out. I'm on Anchor. It's called the Andre Salazar Show. Simple. Andre Salazar, that's me. Andre Salazar Show. I'm going to talk about comics, but not like, because it's a podcast, I'm not going to like visually do it. I'm just going to talk about maybe what I'm reading, maybe go into, in other ways. I'm going to have a lot of guests, different authors and comic creators on there. I'm also going to talk about other stuff. I'm going to talk about news like COVID. I'm doing a series on Justice League, the animated series back in the early 2000s. I'm talking about the Watchmen TV show. I talked about Tiger King documentary on Netflix. I'm just basically doing all the stuff that I'm into. So it's going to be varied. A lot of different people are going to join me. I'm excited about it. So go check it out. It's on Anchor. It's on Spotify. It should be on iTunes soon and some of the other platforms. So we're doing that. I'm excited about that. I'm also on Patreon. Check out some of my own comics. Thank you guys very much. I really appreciate you guys listening. And again, please be careful out there.